This is your guy EF with EF Sports, and we're talking college football. This is part two of part one. Part one, we talked about who's going to win the ACC, the Big Ten, and the Pac-12, and the Big 12. But I have some changes since I made that last clip. I had Clemson winning the ACC. Had some time to think. I've had some time to do some more research. I'm going with FSU. Yeah, I am. I know they have to go to Death Valley and win, and that's asking a lot. I mean, you have to really be good to go to Clemson, who is good, and beat Clemson. Now that I think about it some more, I'm sticking with Clemson. I'm sticking with Clemson in the ACC. But where we left off was, just to recap, I had Clemson in the ACC, Michigan in the Big Ten. I had USC in the Pac-12 and Texas in the Big 12. Now I have some sleepers to think about. When I think about the Pac-12, I just want you to think about Washington and Penix, their quarterback. Just think about USC and their ability to not play great defense and their ability to lose games that they shouldn't lose, with or without their quarterback, Caleb. It has happened over the last year or so, right? So, still going with USC, but Washington can be the sleeper in the Pac-12. All right, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Who's going to win the SEC? Who's making it to the Final Four? Who's going to win it all? And who's going to be the sleeper? Let's go to the SEC. Everybody is saying Alabama is going to have a down year. There are questions at quarterback. There are questions at receiver. And they have new coordinators on board. Why weren't they in the Final Four last year? Why did they lose to Tennessee? Why did they lose to LSU? Something was missing. And I have a theory. Just hear me out. Alabama. 5 stars, 4 stars, 3 stars. Transfer portal. NIL. Okay. Just think about this. If you are a 4-star player, 5-star player, and you realize early in the season that you aren't going to get a lot of playing time, in this day and age, with the transfer portal and NIL and things of that nature, you can be quick to want to skip and jump off the boat. It's very possible, right? Think about it. Alabama had, 19 to 20 something transfers last year. Those guys just don't transfer when the season is over, right? That's when they physically leave. But mentally, they leave around week 4, 5, 6, 7 when they see that they're not starting or they're not getting the playing time they think they can. And with the transfer portal, trust me, trust and believe, there are feelers out there, people asking questions. Hey, John Doe, he's not playing at Alabama. You think he would come over to us and play? And these are guys talking to family members of these players and friends and things of that nature. And that's getting back to the player. 17, 18, 19 transfers. They physically left at the end of the season, right? But during the season, they were mentally leaving. And so you can have all of the 4 or 5 stars you want, but if they're not all bought in, if they're not all locked in, if they're not tied together, They're not building the culture, which Alabama thrives off of. And when you have that amount of talent, you have to have that foundation. Things can go all right. Now, I know you're saying they only lost 2 games. It wasn't like they getting destroyed. But on the flip, one would tell me, hey, they have all of this talent. Why are they losing to Tennessee? Why are they giving all these points to Tennessee? Why are they just barely beating Texas? Why are they just stagnant against LSU? Why does it look like they're just going through the motions? Buy-in, culture, mental, thinking about other things, thinking I might leave, and so if you have 20 people thinking about leaving during the middle of the season, you probably got 30 or 40 in total listening to that. So if my roommate's talking about leaving, and I'm solid, I'm staying, but if he's talking about leaving all the time, it starts to get into my head too. Well, maybe I should leave. Maybe I should stay. Maybe I should. But either way, now your mental is a little colluded, right? So you have all this going on, and you wonder why Tennessee put 60 up on you. I'm just saying this happened. And what's to say it won't happen again? When you have a lot of athletes, a lot of players who want to play, and they end up not playing, it's very possible that they'll start thinking about trying to go elsewhere. Right? Now, here's the thing about Alabama, which they have not done in the past, that Georgia actually does, see, because Georgia could have the same problem. Georgia could have the same issue, right? Bunch of 4 and 5 stars trying to figure out whether they're playing or not, so on and so forth. Georgia could have the same problem, but the one thing that Kirby does, he does a great job of this. He plays a lot of players. He plays 2, 3, 4 running backs. He plays a bunch of receivers. He rotates people on his defense. He gets those people playing. They're engaged. They're involved. They're locked in. They feel like they're going to play every week. Now, it hurts their stats. You're not going to get somebody... A Georgia receiver's not catching 80 and 90 balls. Now Bowers, the tight end, he might. But receivers for Georgia, they're not catching 80 and 90 balls. Running backs aren't running for 1,500 yards. They're just not, because they're sharing the load. Why? They're sharing the load because, one, you want depth. Yeah. You want people with experience to come in and not be in, if you have injuries, you have people jumping in and filling the void. Yeah. But also you have to keep everybody engaged. You have to keep those 4 and 5 star, 3-star kids engaged so they won't hit that portal. So that's something Saban's going to have to work on, because he's pretty solid at playing key guys. I mean, the year Jameson and Michie and those guys were there, I mean, it was them. It wasn't like they played every down. It wasn't like he rotated them in and out every second or third series. I mean, Georgia did. So that's just something to think about when you're trying to retain athletes. But I say all that to say, that's my theory on Alabama's struggles. And I'm not sure what's going to be different moving forward unless he, being Saban, has some different philosophies around player engagement. But that leads to this season. Quarterback situation. We don't know who's playing. We don't know how good they're going to be. I think Saban's going back to New York Giants style of football. Bill Parcells back in the day. Run the ball, burn the clock, play great defense. Try to demolish you at the line of scrimmage until you quit, and try to beat you 20-16, 20-13, 20-10. In a perfect world, he would love that. That's his MO. That's his DNA. That's what he would love to do. It's hard to do that in this day and age. Michigan, they try it. It works in the Big Ten a little bit. But there's a lot of offense in the SEC nowadays. Texas A&M, I know, I understand that they struggle. I get it. But they have offense. Ole Miss has offense. Tennessee has offense. LSU is capable, and we're going to see soon just how capable offensively they are. There are a lot of teams that it's going to be hard to hold them to 9, 10, 13, 16 points. So they're going to have some offense. This year, I cannot give Alabama the edge in the SEC West. I mentioned Texas A&M earlier, just a second ago. And they're my sleeper. They are my sleeper team. I think the move that Jimbo made to add Bobby Petrino as the offensive coordinator is a great move. And here's why. Not because Jimbo is a bad play caller. Not because Jimbo can't run offense. We know he can run plays. We know what he can do. But the issue is, for me, and in my opinion, based on facts, the head coach has to be the CEO. And when you're the CEO, you delegate. And when you delegate, you have your hands and fingers on everything. You have your hands on the offense. You have your hands on the defense. You have your hands on special teams. And everything else that goes on outside the building. Right? Right? Right. So, if you're the CEO, you're going to have a hard time managing everything and everybody if you're going to have a hard time managing everything and everybody if you're solely, most of your time, all of your time, day and night is spent on the offensive side of the ball. Think about it. If you're the play caller on offense, man, you're spending all of your time with the offense. You're building rapport with the offense. And yeah, I know people are saying, well, that's what you have your defensive coordinator for. Yeah, but no, you are the guy. You're the CEO. You have to make sure that everything is steady on that side, which means you need to put your fingerprints over there. I'm not saying you have to call plays or understand defense, but you have to be present. You have to be in that room on that side of the building, on the other side of the building where the defense is and the special teams unit is, where they're located. You have to be present. Give input. I'm not saying draw up plays, but give input. Let those players know that it's serious business, and they know that because you are there. Think about it. As a parent, right? Your kids are doing something, and they're participating in an event, and you show up. What do? They tighten up. They get it done because they know you're there. You're the authority figure. You're the guy. Jimbo, great move by getting Petrino. Because now, as much as you don't want to, it's hard to give up the play calling duties, but you get it now. You understand. I have to also be present all around the building. I trust Petrino. Let him have it. Let him do his thing. I trust it. I'll sit in there. I'll sit next to you. I'll approve it. But it's yours because I've got to go to the other side of the building and sit down and do the same thing with my defensive coordinator. I've got to spend time with him. I've got to spend time with those players and show them that I'm there. And if I'm there, that means I'm serious about defense. That's just my opinion based on facts. That's why I think Texas A&M will be better, because I think, now when I say better, listen, I mean, okay, they were in last place last year, so you would think that they're going to be, but that West is still nasty. I mean, Arkansas, people laugh at Arkansas, but they'll beat you if you're not careful. And of course, there's Ole Miss and LSU, and just, it's just on and on. On and on. It's just rough, right? But they did beat LSU last year, and they always play Alabama close. If they just take care of the games that seem like they should win, the Ole Misses, Arkansas, Auburn, they can take care of that. And they've got, do they have Tennessee and USC this year? Or something like that? So it's never easy. I mean, it's just never easy. But I'm just saying, I like what he did, him being Jimbo. Delegating. I personally think that's what Lincoln Riley needs to do as well. And I know I'm going back to Pac-12 here, but I think that's what Lincoln, if he can delegate, I know he wants to be a play caller. I get it, man. I know. That's where your heart is. But you've got to show some love to the defense. You've got to be there. You've got to let them know that, hey, I care about defense. That's why I'm sitting in these meetings just as much as I sit in on the offensive meetings. It's important. And that's why I think USC's defense will continue to struggle. But back to the SEC. So, Texas A&M is my sleeper. When I say sleeper, I mean they may come in second at worst in the SEC West. Yeah, second at worst. I know, that's saying a lot, right? Yeah, second at worst. All right, so who does that leave us with? LSU. Yes, I think LSU will win the SEC West. That game at Alabama late, that's tricky. That's tricky. I mean, by then Alabama might have an idea of who they are and what they are. And, LSU might start the season hot, and by the time they get to Alabama, they start running low on steam. You just never know how these things go, but right now I'm taking LSU to come out of the West. In the East, Tennessee's good. I mean, Tennessee has potential to do some things, but they have to. I need to see them beat Georgia before I can start saying, "Hey, Georgia, this isn't your year." Georgia's schedule is easy. I see them getting to the SEC championship game versus LSU. A sleeper over there would be the Gamecocks. It's going to be interesting to see how they look game one against UNC here in Charlotte, North Carolina. Looking forward to that this weekend. That should be really, really entertaining. But I think USC will be the team that you would call the sleeper in the East. And what I mean by that is they could beat Florida, they could beat Tennessee, and they could give Georgia more than they asked for. They could come in second. Yeah, they could come in second in the SEC East. And you know what? Even though they have a tough schedule, I think if they don't come in second, I think it'll be a disappointment to those people in Columbia. I think they feel like they should be able to beat Florida. They should be able to beat Tennessee. And whoever else they play in the SEC West, which I think is Texas A&M. I have to check that again. But I think they feel very confident that they should. And here's the crazy thing, if they don't, is that like a step back? The SEC is just bananas, man, because you can have a good team and fool around and come in last. I mean, seriously, you could have a good team and you could end up in last place. It's the SEC. So, anyways, LSU and Georgia. um, SEC championship game, and I'll take LSU. I'll take LSU to win. So, having said that, who are my Final Four? Our last Final Four. Going forward, we're going to have, 12 teams? So, this is the last Final Four. I think Georgia will be undefeated going into the SEC title game. Win or lose, they will get in. So, Georgia's in. The defending two-time national champion, Georgia, is in. In the Big Ten, just like Georgia, I don't see much on the schedule for Michigan. I think they can win at Penn State. They host Ohio State. And again, if they, like Georgia, if they lose to Ohio State for some reason, with one loss, they're still sitting right there on deck to get in, just like Ohio State last year. You lose before you get to the Big Ten title game, and you still get in. So win or lose to Ohio State, and I think Michigan still gets in. Isn't that crazy? But if they beat Ohio State and go to the Big Ten championship, heck, they can lose that and still get in. But what that would do is the loser of the Michigan-Ohio State game, let's say Ohio State lost, Michigan won, and Michigan went on and lost the Big Ten championship. I think that would hurt Ohio State chances of getting in if they just had one loss. But nonetheless, Michigan gets in one way or another. So I have UGA and Michigan. This LSU-Florida State game is big, coming up Sunday night. The winner I have making the Final Four. I just don't know who's going to win. They're talking about weather issues and things like that, and, that always... first of all, safety, no doubt about it. But I'm just saying, if it's wet and damp and they happen to play the game, then I hate that. But hopefully it's not. Hopefully it's not. I've been back and forth on that game. But I think I would go with LSU, and I think LSU can make it to the Final Four. So that means I would have two SEC teams in the Final Four. Who gets that fourth and final slot? I know people are thinking, well, where's Texas? Well, let's see if they can come out of Tuscaloosa alive first. Okay? Where's USC? I think Washington or Oregon or Utah or somebody like that can give them they have to go to South Bend. Listen, I don't think USC's making it. I'll just put it like that. So that leaves Clemson and Florida State. So on my last clip, I said that Florida State would probably go to Clemson and lose, and Clemson would go to the ACC championship and win the ACC championship, right? Earlier on this clip, I was flip-flopping back and forth, and I stuck with Clemson. That was just a teaser. See, here's the problem, right? Here's the issue. And this is for this fourth slot. Let's say Florida State does lose to LSU. Cool. They drop a couple slots. Of course, they can't lose anymore. If they go to Clemson and lose, they're out. Okay, done. Let's say they beat LSU. Let's say they go to Clemson and lose. Drop a couple slots. But the way the ACC is set up now, which I did not say in the first clip, part one, is that it's just one big division. Yeah, it's not split up anymore. One big division. So, Florida State can lose to Clemson, but still play them in the ACC championship game if they run the table. they can see them again. If they see them again here in Charlotte, North Carolina, ACC championship, I don't think they would beat Florida State twice. There's a lot of ifs, ands, and buts there, I know. And I'm putting a lot on Florida State and LSU. The winner is riding high. The loser has a chance to rebound with one loss. I'm going Florida State. My Final Four, Florida State, LSU, Georgia, and Michigan. I think I feel good with that. I think I feel comfortable about that. I think Notre Dame will be a disruptor. People are asking about Notre Dame. I think they'll be a disruptor. What I mean by that is they're going to give Clemson some fits. They're going to give USC fits. They're going to give Ohio State fits. They're going to beat one of them, if not two of them. Definitely one of them. Sam Hartman, the quarterback, he was at Wake. He was good at Wake. He was really good at Wake. Now he's at Notre Dame. You know, he's like 24, maybe 25. He's 24 years old, and I'm not knocking him for being that old because I get it. We had the COVID year, and he was probably a redshirt player, and I mean, it all adds up. 6 years of college, you come in at 18, and you're 24, right? So it makes sense. But my point is, man, to have a guy that's 24 as your quarterback, the savvy, the experience, the intel, the leadership, man, that's crazy. I played college basketball, right? I played at a small school, but I played, and I'm here to tell you, if I were 24 years old, playing the way I did when I was 24, knowing what I knew when I was 24, doing the things that I did when I was 24 as a basketball player, I would demolish 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old basketball players. I'm just being honest with you. I would demolish them. And that's not being cocky. It's just the truth. I was in great shape. Everything I learned those 4 years, I was applying when I was playing, whether it was organized or semi-pro or whatever. If I was that person at 24 playing against 18, 19, 20-year-olds, same with the Georgia quarterback last year. Same thing. He was good. But the reason why he was really good was because he was 25, 20, 26, 20-something, 20, mid-20s. He was supposed to be good. I'm not taking anything from him, but he was supposed to be good. I didn't realize he was that old until the middle of the season. Once I heard that, I said, okay, that makes sense now. Okay, I got it. I get it. They're supposed to win. That's why he's going off. That's why he's good, because he's older than them. Because it wasn't like he had these supernatural abilities, and you don't always have to have supernatural abilities. Don't get me wrong. But I was like, wow, he really improved his game over a couple of years. I always thought he was okay because he could scramble and move and he was gutsy. But all of a sudden, he got real confident. You know what I mean? And I see why. He was mid-20s. Same for Sam. You know, Sam, he might have a hiccup here and there, but his maturity and his experience, USC, Clemson, Ohio State, be ready for a game, because now Sam has, not that he didn't have talent at Wake Forest. He has some nice receivers at Wake Forest. He did. But now he has a roster of nice recruits that coach is bringing in. So he's gonna try to play his best, and I look forward to seeing what he and Notre Dame do going forward. But my four, once again, Georgia, FSU, LSU, and Florida State. Florida State, LSU, Georgia, and Michigan. Jeez. Okay, Michigan. Now, who wins that? We'll talk about that later. But Michigan, Florida State, LSU, Georgia, those are my four. And we'll be back during the week. We'll talk about the games. We'll talk about what happened, what didn't happen, why it happened, and then we'll preview the upcoming games. This is your guy EF with EF Sports, talking college football, picking conferences, divisions, and championships. This was part 2. Stay tuned. We have plenty more to come on this network. Thanks.